I work for National Union of Disabled Persons of Uganda, NUDIPU, which is an umbrella organization for persons with disabilities in this country. Today was an honor and a privilege to meet persons with disabilities from Mbale district and also Mbale city. The purpose of the meeting today was to disseminate the National Disability Manifesto 2026-2031. The manifesto comprises issues of person disabilities, which person disabilities want the new government, which is the current government of 2026-2031, to do for them. The manifesto has a number of areas. It is more or less the 10-point program for persons with disabilities. The first priority area in the Disability Manifesto is inclusion of persons with disabilities in plans and budgets. Apparently, disability inclusion in plans and budgets is at 35%. So, in the manifesto, persons with disabilities are calling upon the different government ministries, departments, and agencies of government to prioritize issues of persons with disabilities and also continuously adopt gender and equity-based budgeting as it has been provided for in the Public Finance Management Act and as it has been ably stipulated under Section 7 of the National Planning Authority Act. In the manifesto under planning and budgeting, persons with disabilities are calling upon for an increased budget allocation towards the National Council for Persons with Disabilities to enable it execute her mandate and also enable it to monitor the different programs, government programs at the national and at the district levels. The second priority area in the Disability Manifesto is social protection. Under social protection, persons with disabilities are calling upon for the establishment of the National Assistance Program for children with severe disabilities. Luckily, the program has already been established with the initial funding of 15.5 billion shillings that will support, that will be piloted to families to certain districts, to families of children with severe disabilities. But also under social protection, persons with disabilities are calling upon the government of Uganda to conduct research on the existing socio-economic empowerment programs, establish the extent to how these programs have positively impacted on persons with disabilities. In the National Disability Manifesto, the third priority area is that on inclusive education. Under inclusive education, persons with disabilities are demanding for an increment in the number of affirmative action slots from 64 to 320. This is due to the existing disability prevalence. It is due to the disability prevalence where the statistics of persons with disabilities have increased over time. Now we have 13.2%. With the 2014 population census, it was 12.4%. By 2024 census, it is now 13.2%. So the increase in the universities, initially we had Makerere, Chambogo, but now universities have increased. We have got more public universities, Guru, Munu University, Ilera University, among others. And that also should warrant an increase in the number of affirmative action slots for children, for students with disabilities that have got two principal passes in senior 6. Because the number of persons with disabilities is also increasing every day because of many causes, including accidents. We also have in the National Disability Manifesto the priority area on inclusive education. Okay, before that, under inclusive education, we also have a demand from persons with disabilities that government should ensure there are inclusive education coordinators in every school. But putting that aside, persons with disabilities are also calling upon government to put up a school waiver for children with disabilities because of the nature of their disabilities. Some of them drop out of school, but in order to retain them at school, there is need, therefore, to have some school waivers that would enable them stay for some time at school. Also, supporting them with scholastic material at school is also another one. Providing them with Parkinson's braille for those that need the Parkinson's braille. Providing them with the with braille papers, among other things, and also making sure the school environment is accessible. The school environment is accessible. There is a positive attitude towards all learners, including learners with disabilities. But the other proud area in the manifesto is that on inclusive employment. Under inclusive employment, persons with disabilities are calling upon the government to ensure to establish the disability employment quotas. Persons with disabilities are calling upon government to establish the disability employment quotas within the provisions of Section 9, subsection 6 of the Persons with Disabilities Act. Today, every year, with the existing affirmative action scholarship, you are sure that 64 students with disabilities are graduating out of public universities. On top of that, we also have students on private sponsorship. So the number of students coming out in the universities in different professions is high. But where it is hard for them to get absorbed in the employment world. Therefore, there is need making sure that the disability employment quota is established to guarantee inclusive employment to persons with disabilities. And in the area of inclusive employment, persons with disabilities are demanding government to conduct research on the employment situation of persons with disabilities to establish who are these persons that is employed, what is it that they are doing, and have their lives changed, and also what are the continuing challenges. In the area of inclusive health, persons with disabilities are calling upon government to improve a number of things, including revitalizing the functionality of orthopedic workshops across the country. Every regional referral hospital is supposed to have an orthopedic workshop. An orthopedic workshop is that makes assistive devices like wheelchairs, walking sticks, calipers, artificial legs, artificial hands. Today, most of these orthopedic workshops are in a sorry state, and persons with disabilities are demanding government to revitalize the functionality of these orthopedic workshops by putting in the relevant equipment and also by recruiting the relevant personnel. But also, persons with disabilities are calling upon government to provide assistive devices for them, ensure there is provision of essential medicines in health facilities across the country, by providing medicines like sunscreens for persons with albinism, by providing medicines for persons with mental disability in lower health facilities, among others. And when we come to political participation, persons with disabilities are calling upon government to making sure that they undergo a training. They are calling upon the Electoral Commission and the Electoral Commission of Political Parties to undergo a disability inclusion and awareness training. Because during the elections, we encountered a number of persons without disabilities that were vying for positions of persons with disabilities, and that was bad. But also under access to justice, which is another pillar of the National Disability Manifesto. Persons with disabilities are demanding government. They are calling upon government through Uganda Police Force to approve the standard operating procedures for handling persons with disabilities during arrest, operations, investigations, detention, and investigations. And also, persons with disabilities are calling upon government through Uganda Prison Service to come up with a policy for handling prisoners with disabilities in order for them to serve their sentences in a dignifying way, especially those that have been in conflict with the law. And also in the area of disability and climate justice, because of the changes in climate, you know, persons with disabilities are 4 times affected whenever disasters happen due to changes in climate. But you see, there is a lot that they go through. So the situation affects them 4 times as compared to others. So how can we make this situation better? Persons with disabilities want government to come up with inclusive awareness raisings. They want government to come up with strategies that are geared towards helping persons with disabilities before disasters happen, when disasters have happened, and after when disasters are happening and after disasters have happened. And then we also have the pillar on reasonable accommodation, where persons with disabilities are calling upon government to come up with a policy or guideline on reasonable accommodation for learners, reasonable accommodation for persons with disabilities, to enable disabilities who require support persons. If someone is employed and you use a wheelchair, if you are blind, then you need to be supported because by the nature of your disability. So all that is in the National Disability Manifesto. Our call to action is government to prioritize implementing this National Disability Manifesto, is person with disabilities to follow up with the different duty bearers and also follow up with their leaders to prioritize the implementation of this National Disability Manifesto. When this manifesto is implemented, we shall ensure it will go a long way in ensuring that disabilities are not left behind, and disabilities will be benefiting, will be living within the Sustainable Development Agenda.